So, building a truly inclusive board, everyday actions that matter. What we're talking about here is having diversified our charities board, we need to make sure that we're equipping all of our trustees to actually be able to contribute. So, here's a quote from Verna Myers, quite a famous quote. Diversity is being invited to the party, inclusion is being asked to dance. And in a board scenario, let's see what the Charity Governance Code has to say about this. It says the board creates a welcoming environment in which people of all backgrounds and perspectives are equally heard and respected. So, here are some practical ideas about how you can ensure that all of your board members, including those from underrepresented groups, can contribute. First of all, you can think about buddying up new and existing trustees and making sure that you're giving them a framework, telling them what to do with each other. So you're meeting before each meeting to talk about the papers, for example. That can really, really help build relationships. Secondly, recruit in multiples. So, for example, if you're looking at the age diversity of your board and you're all over 65 and then you want to recruit some younger people, it won't be ideal if you recruit, for example, one 21-year-old. It's going to be much more helpful for them if you're recruiting more than one young trustee at a time. It means that they're more likely to ask for help and they're going to feel more comfortable in meetings. Thinking about minimising practical barriers to participation. So think about when your meetings are, where they are, what it's costing people to get there. Make sure that you pay out-of-pocket expenses as standard. And all of these practical barriers tend to be quite easy to remove, actually. So you need to be very sensitive to them and just ask your new trustees what might get in the way of them being able to come along and contribute. Make sure that all of your trustees understand your responsibilities, both your new trustees and your existing trustees. Really think about trying to spend some social time outside of board meetings. Now, there are some potential practical barriers there. Make sure it isn't expensive or it isn't a time or place that people can't make. But actually spending that social time is a very important way of board members getting to know each other as individuals and therefore working well as a team. Compile a trustee code of conduct, so an agreement as to how you're going to behave. We're going to respect each other, we're going to be curious about each other's opinions, we are happy to debate, but it mustn't get personal, and so on. Have regular trustee one-to-ones. This would normally be with the chair. So regular check-ins for each trustee to raise any concerns, to talk about what might be getting in their way of contributing, to talk about what they're enjoying, and so on. Think about making space on the agenda for feedback. So this might be a 10-minute section at the end of the meeting to say, how do we all think that meeting went? Did we spend the right amount of time on the right items? Did everybody have a say? Did we hear from the right voices? And so on. Assess the board's performance. So you might be lucky enough to have an external governance review, but there's plenty of DIY tools that you can use, like the DSC governance app. Make sure you're using trustee terms to ensure healthy turnover. And so that just means that you've got a regular influx of new board members. It makes it easier for newer board members to settle in if they're not coming into a situation where everybody else has been there for 25 years. And what you're aiming for is a culture of respect, questioning, learning, debate, listening, and reflection.